All right, we're just gonna test. We're just gonna roll out the intro real quick, allow people time to come into Facebook. We are live on Facebook now, and we'll pull Nicky Hamid, the contemporary Merlin, up here in just a second. All right. We're going to bring Nicky Hamid up here and see what's been going on. I know he's been going through a lot of changes. I think he relocated, like a lot of people. He's moving around a little bit, him and Glen Ray. But it's going to be good to catch up with our brother. He's out there doing the good work every single day. All right, here we go. Nicky Hamid. He's coming. Hang on a second. I think your mic. It happens every time. Yeah, your mic's off. So your mic is oh wait, hang on, I got you. How's that? Wait a minute. No, your mic's off. You're not muted. You're not muted. It's okay. You want to go out and come back in? Try it that way. So your video's on and your audio's off. It's okay. Anytime we have technical problems, we always have a great show. Plus, we always have a great show with Nicky anyway. How's it going, everybody? Let's see.
Now.
Let's see. There you go. We can hear you now.
Give me now. Yeah, I had a new. I've got a new computer, and it's not picking up the blue yet.
Well, you know, with all that information you've been carrying through all these incarnations that you've had, including Merlin. Oh, you got you a good mic.
It's not
You got
working.
you a good. You're gonna have to serenade us. You're gonna have to serenade us before the show's over, like you did before. How you doing,
Yeah,
Nicky? It's good to see you. How you and Glen Ray doing? You guys moved?
yeah. We moved. We moved to the below a mountain, the mountain in this area, um, and its name is Tiarawa, which
Yeah,
means love,
love.
the mountain of love.
So you're at the
And
foot of the mountain of love.
yeah, it's magic. It's a magical place. We had no idea we were actually going to be here, but
Really?
this is where we've ended up. Yes. So
So did you get to say goodbye to the elementals and the ogres
well,
and everything at your place,
yeah,
your old place?
yes, they did, and um, the the feeling was we're going into another uh, uh, what timeline too as well.
Yeah,
So that they were moving too, even though they're staying there.
yeah,
Yeah, they're moving. They move in and out according to the invitation of heart from humans.
that's right. Yeah. Have you had any Have you noticed anything in this new place? New energy portals, anything like
Um,
that?
yes, there's quite a lot happening. But Glenn has has had visits, but they're not actually living on the property like they were before, and
Yeah.
so they're across the road. Across the road, the bush and the forest
Mm,
starts and it goes
yeah.
up the hill, and so they come and visit, but they say, no, they don't need to uh, live here. They're just everywhere. The
Yeah.
forest is absolutely chock a block with them. So it's like we've got a bigger property.
A bigger
It's not
property.
just, yeah,
Well,
it's
that's the
not.
thing.
Uh,
Yeah, there is no possession. It's like they said, they don't
uh,
have to live there. It's just, you live where you live. I saw, I've seen fairies before. This was 2, 3 years ago. I had a swimming hole
yeah,
one night and some water nymphs, but they weren't like, they was more third eye, you know,
mm, yeah,
although I could hear them. But um, we found a place, we were gifted a place to be able to broadcast and park our RV for the next 50 days. And the first night I was here, I had this incredible download from the mother goddess, and I was on the couch for 2 hours and I couldn't move. And but anyway, so it was like that the first night. And I went to the backyard and I saw this. I was looking at the stars and I saw this flickering going on in one of these palm trees, and it started to move. And I was able to watch it for 4 or 5 minutes, and it was like these pictures of fairies that people put up on social media.
yeah.
And yeah, so I think, yeah, the veils are lifting more and more, and we
That's
have no idea how big the neighborhood is.
yeah, that's right. Well, it's this whole business of the veil. The veil has actually lifted.
Yeah,
Um, and all we need to do is to take the innocent speck of of the child within us, of the child nature within us, that innocent nature, as a fully adult human being.
yeah,
And one of the things I keep repeating it at the moment, but one of the things is with children, when we played, when we felt joy, we pretended.
yeah,
And pretension is the invitation for the bringing together of what people refer to as timelines. All right,
yeah, yeah,
that's the portal opening. Pretending is yours. So you pretend you see the fairies like that, and that is real because as
The-
soon as you pretend, it's an invitation for the portal to open.
yeah,
And
exactly.
so you're not seeing in the same way as physical seeing, but you're seeing. So believe what you see,
Oh
believe
yeah,
what and then we don't have to worry about sight because we already have it.
yeah, yeah. And the fact that it's bleeding over into the physical is pretty incredible, because we are integrating the physical and the non-physical, which is such an opportunity and an honor, you know.
Yeah,
Um, and Franco talks about how each planet is a university and a playground. And I feel like that, I was got up this morning and I thought, you know what? I think school's out. I think the playground just opened up and this is the rest of the story, right? You
yeah,
know?
right. Well, you're talking about the fairies, but I'm not seeing them, Liz, because if I look, I see. If I talk, they're there.
Yeah.
Um, but in my reality at the moment, there's a predominance of the same thing with humans. Now, it's like how you believed in fairies, you wanted to see them, and so on. Now, the reality of human in their truth is coming in. So
Yeah.
my reality is everybody on Facebook
Yeah.
that that contacts me is around, is present.
Yeah.
It's like a physical presence. I would say it's an auric presence. It's an auric presence. It's a light presence, and they present, and you think of them, and they're immediately there.
Yeah.
You're immediately side by side. and so while it comes, I wanted to say, people, you feel a bit alone. You want soul family. Just think, pretend they're close to you,
Hmm.
and you immediately invite them in.
Yeah.
You immediately invite the company of heaven, who are always with you, to bring more of that vibration into your auric field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel we're living in a private space, but at the same time, it's very, very, very public.
There are no walls. There are no walls. Telepathy
Yeah,
runs. I mean, we actually have access to all 8 billion people and
yeah,
whatever else, everything. I
exactly.
mean,
I remember, talk about a song. I remember a song because I used to switch from church to church when I was a little boy because I loved singing. And it was the Salvation Army, you know, and their sing song. I'd go in and sing, and one of them was, "Bring them in, bring them in, bring them in from the world of sin."
well, I guess that's
But
where we're all. I guess that's where we're all coming from, isn't it? From that perspective. Yeah.
exactly, and so there might be, I mean, as
Well.
as I
Yeah.
as we meet somebody in physicality, if you have the eyes, you see soul.
Yeah.
If you have the eyes, you only see uh, trauma and survival and lack.
Yeah.
But if you have the eyes, you see soul, and that soul is light, and they're glorious light beings.
Oh
And
yeah.
so, this world we're bringing into uh, our life, our everyday life.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you
And
said about it's happening at the human level, like the people, even the human level being whether someone's standing right next to you or on Facebook or social media. This is your experience. This is no different than the fairies or other aspects of us that present themselves to us, and this is the full circle too. I think of two things over the last couple of days from these shows that we just started doing again, and one of them is to remember that with anyone and everyone, I'm not just speaking to their human aspect. I can actually speak and appeal and have conversations with any of their multidimensional aspects, particularly their higher self. And that is the part of the imagination that is the real power that you're talking about. Pretending, pretending is the imagination. Pretending is real. You know that old saying: "If truth is stranger than fiction," because of all the things that are being disclosed. Well, if that's true, then it's the other way around. What we thought
yeah,
was
yeah,
fiction is the truth.
but-
Fairies are true. Pretending is
and,
real.
yeah, and a lot of the New Age um, teachings talk about intention, but that's a thought. Pretending is pre-thought,
Yeah,
and that's the um, creative. That's the creative impulse to pretend. And the unkind lie was, yeah, well, that's just pretend. That's just imagination. Now you got to grow up and be real.
yeah, yeah.
So we
Absolutely.
forget the real and take the illusion.
That's right. Our imagination was kind of taken away from us, and in other words, it was seen as not being real, and also the power of it
Yeah.
was taken over because what we did imagine was conditioned and programmed, but now we're unlocked and unleashed and unattached and free flowing, and there's a lot of more apparent telepathy happening, and people having etherical encounters, be they merging or just like you said, you think of somebody, and they're with you. We had we came over here. Morgan went to stay with a friend for a few days in Kansas, and the first night, because we put our hands together every night, she told me that she felt my hand, when she went to bed. Well, the night before she left, we put our hands together, and I guess because we were going to separate for a little bit, she squeezed my hand before we started and turned it, like that. And so the first night I got here after the fairy or before the mother goddess thing came in, I think it kicked it off. I felt her hand, clasp my hand, and then I felt it grab it and turn it just like the night before. And I was like, oh my God. And then all that energy came in, all those downloads and whatever the heck that was. But
Yeah,
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 so this stuff is happening more and more.
yeah,
And
and then
I think it's
and,
happening so much, Nikki, that there's no way that the quote unquote mainstream will be able to ignore it. It's just
uh,
happening so fast. Yeah,
yeah, and it's happening to even people who are described not awake.
yeah, yeah,
They're feeling it because it gets confused with the unkind lies they've told. But the same thing, these capacities, I'm meeting people in the street, who may have met me before or may not, who suddenly blurt out some what we might have called psychic experience.
yeah,
But they're spot on. They're
yeah,
spot on. I see with them. And they're spot on. They're just the interpretation is different.
yeah,
And if we turn it round, and if if we just if I just say yes, I say you're spot on. There's a there's
yeah,
a thank goodness I'm not crazy, and thank goodness I don't have to be afraid. And there's all that thank goodness, and that's the transfer of shine when we are at home with ourselves. That's the transfer. We transfer that at homeness so they can be at home with the sight that they're naturally having because it belongs to humanity now.
yeah,
It
yeah,
already is being infused in the auric fields of
yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
Everyone.
We went to a gathering a couple of weeks ago when we got here with Greg Prescott from N5D, and there was a few people there that I didn't know, and there was this guy there. And by your stand, by what you were talking about, like most people would say, quote unquote, he's not awake. Anyway, we
Mm.
started talking, and he started saying, "Man, I've been looking around what's going on in the world, and I'm finding out about this and this and this, like a lot of us, when we first woke up." And he said, "So," I said, "So, what do you think about it?" He said, "Well, I started taking courses and psychic course and just different, going to different things." And he said, "So I went to this little gathering, and there was a psychic, and they were reading people." And he said, "Man, I
Mhm.
could not believe how accurate the information was about my my job and about my family, and all that stuff, right?" And he was asking me, what was that? And I was explaining to him the morphic field and this and that. But anyway, so what he ended up doing was he ended up taking a course, and in that course, rather than just doing that type of thing, they actually showed the people how to do it. So he went to this lady, and the lady gave him a locket. So, you had to give something or whatever, gave him a locket. He grabbed the locket, and he started telling her everything about the locket and, and all the history behind it. And he said, "How did that happen?" I said, "Well,
Yeah.
that's you, and this is what you're talking about in that merging of the physical and non-physical, is people are starting to have these psychic experiences, paranormal, whatever you want to call it, visitations, fairy encounters, whatever. And you're not going to be able to put a cap on it. There's no way
That's right.
to deny it."
It's like if we're an open door, then anyone who comes in contact with us has the opportunity to move through the open door. Not my open door, but
Yeah,
the version of the open door. Because I have opened the door and stepped through.
yeah, that's
And
right.
I don't have to do nothing
Yeah,
but love them and
isn't it?
love being
Yeah.
me.
That's right. And isn't it interesting too? Because everything's so paradoxical that we came out of this, what is essentially a codependent frequency. All of our relationships, business and personal, hey, if I do this, you got to do this, or, if I do this, at least in my mind, I'm expecting this. And in this case, it doesn't work that way. It just simply, to me, the universe is just simply saying, look, don't worry about anybody else. Just be you and just put it out there and don't look back. And there's, like you said, there's something about that when people step through their fears, no matter how big or small they might seem, they're actually opening up a door for anyone and everyone else, you know?
yeah. I thought I knew that, and I felt I knew it from the heart. And I sailed into this year, and with some plans, knowing that plans can't be held on to.
Yeah.
They unfold, but with
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
idea. And after struggling for months with a computer that didn't work properly, and I had to cut and paste if I wrote anything, letters, for months I was doing that. We had the money to buy a new computer, so I bought a new computer. The guy comes in to set it up for me. He says, "Have you got a backup of your files?" I said, "Yes." So he wiped my old computer and transferred the files to the new one. And he said, "Now we need a backup." So I said, "Okay, here's my backup. Um, external hard drive." So what he did was reconfigure that, and
Yeah.
that had all my files going back 12 years of all my books, all my preparation for the books and the course this year. Everything I ever had was wiped. I had nothing, nothing.
Oh my God.
And
Yeah.
still, there's still somebody who's trying to retrieve it. One of these spy guys. But I virtually started. I had to start from scratch in that sense. No
But
files, no
yeah.
files at all. But initially, I was surprised how shocked my body went into shock, and
Yeah.
I don't do that. So I had to go away from the guy. It wasn't his fault. It was a miscommunication, and I kept on having to go away. He's trying to teach me the new computer. However, yeah, and coming back because I was shaking inside. But the interesting thing was, I mean, I was able to let go of it within a couple of days, the whole thing, and see it as a complete control out delete.
That's right.
Yeah, it
Isn't
was a
that
yeah, right. And so that's all gone, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
yeah.
one iota because what starts to happen more for me is seeing things anew.
Yeah.
Everything's coming anew. This is the child. This is the innocence of Nicky.
And
And I
and
love him. I love him
yeah.
more. I
Yeah.
love him more because he's clumsy and he's from a boy he's being clumsy. He's forgetful. He's happy go lucky. That's him. And that's how he was when he was a boy. And luckily, I didn't have too much trauma from my parents. It was
Mm.
school that was uh, my thorn in the side. Yeah. So it's it's all being renewed, and it's being renewed without me doing or intending anything.
Yes. See, yes. And I'm glad you brought this
Yeah.
up. I'm really glad you brought this up because you love you. You love Nikki. And this thing that happened, a very similar thing just happened to me. And it's the universe reciprocating your love. And at the same time, you get to a certain point and the universe doesn't flatline and we don't either. And with that dose of a higher understanding and love comes a call for a higher faith to trust more. And I'm with you. We're not coming, we're in the quantum now. And that's affecting everything, and it's affecting the math and the language and the code and create materializing or manifesting things. And you're right, we've been working, as you know, on this network, and our brother in Arkansas spent 2-3 months writing code because it's from scratch, and we're talking, hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of pages of code. So anyway, we went to Florida, and I lost, we didn't talk for about 3 weeks because we were both busy. And I ended up one morning, I was like, I got to call Aaron. And so I called him on the phone. He said, "You haven't heard, have you?" I said, "What?" He said, "Our house burned down yesterday, you know? And the first thing I said was, "Well, yeah, you guys okay?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, we're all okay. We're out of the house." He said, "But the first thing I went in and did was I grabbed the server, and it should be okay. It's got some foam on it, some fire retardant foam." I said, I don't even care. I'm just glad you guys are okay. I could care less. I have no attachment to when this damn thing rolls out, even though I've been, you know, but I'm good with it now. And I saw it the same way you did because I realized, kind of like, understanding that what the universe has in store for me is something far greater than I could ever imagine for myself, and to allow it to happen in how it
Yeah,
will, rather
yeah,
than, and I think that's the new math, and I think
yeah,
it's gonna have a
yeah.
tremendous, not a tremendous, but I think it's gonna be felt and impressed upon each and every one of us, especially many people in our circle who have been struggling with what's 5D commerce. Do I charge? Do I not charge? And all that stuff.
Well, that's another. This is a huge. There's another huge part of what we're talking about, and that is the whole idea of survival mode
Mhm.
versus thrival mode. Thrival mode to thrive, and
Yeah.
we're in the new earth, the new way of being, and it's thriving. It's thriving. So we're having to give up all uh, elements, beliefs, remnants of survival.
Yeah.
And so much still in the spiritual community is survival. To be who I want to be requires money.
That's right.
Okay. So, yeah. And
That's
so
right.
there's all those beliefs and so on. That's the one part of it. The other part is instead of focusing on getting beyond survival,
Yeah.
have a look at something else, the new. The new is thriving. So instead of what it's how to go beyond survival, it is what how do I see thrival? How
Thriving.
do I feel thriving?
Tribal
And
thrival.
there and yeah, thrival. And where do I go for the reminders? And they're not about focusing on doing affirmations, on seeing old beliefs and the way you have been caught up in them, because it's right in your face by the things that are happening to you. What it's about is thrival is about thriving and thriving here in physicality,
Yeah.
in 3D,
Yeah.
in 3D. And what is it? Where is the teacher?
Yeah.
The teacher is nature.
Yeah.
The teacher is nature. So we connect to, because nature, the world of nature is abundance.
Yeah.
It's not all these fears about the world burning and the carbon dioxide being killing us. It's not about that. It's about the survival. Darwin said the survival of the fittest. Now,
Yeah.
people thought the survival of the fittest was the strongest person, the biggest, the
Yeah.
strongest
Yeah.
would survive. No, fittest. Fittest is being fit, being fit for something. And
Yeah.
how are we becoming fit? We're aligning ourselves to our feeling and our truth. All
Yeah.
right. That's how nature does it. You know, you have a large tree that grows and flourishes, but its shadow, if you like, we could say, impedes the other trees growing much higher. No, no, no. There's another way of looking at it. I'm just using this as an example. No, the saplings therefore strive to find the light because some of the light's been
Yeah.
taken. So they strive, which makes them strong, and they have the protection, and they have the uh, filtered water, and all the rest of it, and the rotting vegetation at the bottom, which gives them sustenance.
Yeah.
This is just one of the millions and millions of ecosystems which are working.
Which is which is
We,
what which is what we
we
are.
are, we
We're waking up. Huh.
exactly, exactly. The food I eat is partly made from the water. It's
Mhm.
made from compost, and the animal deposited it there. and came from another place, and so on and so on. And we go back to that whole idea. I breathe the I breathe the air that Buddha breathed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
drink the water. I drink the water that Buddha drank,
Mm.
because it's all so connected. And so thrival comes from a real feeling every day of our connection, that we are part of this cycle. Look to nature. Look to, and people are being shown it all every day something like this. This is who we are. This is what we knew way back in the Lemurian and times before. Our connection to all.
Yeah.
And so what we're seeing with those people coming in, like the fairies and so on, it's all a connection to all. And the light beings to the company of heaven, they're here. We welcome them, we bring them into our life and let them feel the joy that we're having from our connection. And
Yeah.
once you're connected, abundance has to happen. It, so, so it's that natural. A lot of people talk about nature, hugging trees. Yeah, I'm not knocking that, but that's a tiny part of it.
Yeah.
It's a tiny part of it. It's about that that oneness with the trees, and it's not up here. It's in here, and it's in expanding your auric field
Yeah. I
to
love that.
include it all.
I love that
Oh,
analogy too of the of nature. If you think of nature, so in our past, where we came from, everything is in tune with that. You know,
yeah,
I love the analogy of the tree, because it's not just that the tree is oneness, but the tree has a function, and that function that it has is its unique specialty. And whether it's providing shade for another mirror of itself, or whether it's causing shadow for the saplings like you talked about, it's providing it's providing a catalyst for its mirrors. And I think if you look at our past, the human network wasn't in flow, because it was all about, I'm the tree and I'm looking at a piece of grass and I want to be the piece of grass because
yeah,
I'm not happy being it or whatever. Or it's, trying to be something you're not. The tree doesn't try to be a river. And I think that's part of what's happening too, with people coming into a comfort zone, because there's enough collective awareness now that we're not all just tripping and crazy and need to be in the psych ward, that we can find our specialty, our uniqueness. We can provide that for the world, for the environment, for the universe. And that in itself is a catalyst for all of our mirrors. And I think the other thing that's happening is like you said, your experience is people. First and foremost, it's people, and it should be for all of us. And I think that's where we're all coming to now, that we're getting to a point of a higher love for ourselves. But coming together, in the flesh, whether it be the clerk down the street or someone from Facebook or whatever, there's something about that too, where two or more gather. And it's like nature, like when you talk about nature, and you were talking about our experience, but going into nature, you don't nature doesn't like speak to you like a book when you read it, or a tape when you listen to it. You just sit there and you download that. That's it. And that's what I think happens as we're starting to come together. The words are important as we make this transition, but much more important and much more of our permanent reality, our eternal flow, is the silence and what occurs above the human ears and all that. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. There are two things you said that I think are vital to this whole piece of survival, and our relationship to nature, and the fact that uh, 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 we reflect nature when we are standing in our truth. And that is, first of all, taking the tree for an example. the large tree is not growing and doing its thing in order to protect those saplings. It's doing what it knows.
Yes.
It's following its path, as the saplings are when they're reaching towards the light. They're not saying, "Hey, you get out of my light. You're blocking the sunlight, so I can't grow like you." It's like, "Thank you.
Hmm.
This is me. This is me, and I'm alive and I'm thriving in my circumstance. I'm thriving in my circumstance." And this is the thing for humans that we say, love yourself. It's being at home with your
Hmm.
circumstance now and finding your connection. And where you find your connection is the abundance. But the key word, and it's said glibly, but you didn't say it this way. You used it once, and it's flow.
Yeah.
It's be in the flow of nature. The flow of nature is the flow of ourselves, and the flow of ourselves is the flow for everyone else
Yeah.
around us, because the flow is monstrous, it's gigantic, it's awesome. It's coming from the great central sun. It's coming from the large to the small, but also from the adamantine particles that are deep within us, which are like sparks. You know, we are the
And
point of love within the
and
mind
the
of God, and
yeah,
so it's flowing, and
yeah.
we don't have to do anything.
That's right. That's what I
We,
was going to say. And if you use the forest again, your example of the forest, you know, and flow is not a bunch of noise. Flow is not a bunch of people talking. Flow is just go take a walk on the beach and be in silence. That's a download. That's if that's what you want to call it. I mean, that's being quieted enough down to hear all the information that you have stored inside of you. So
it's all
yeah,
auric field, all of it. It's all of it.
yeah,
Whether we say it's from the outside in or from the inside out, it's all one and the same, and
yeah.
it's a flow. It's a flow, and that's why I love that saying that years ago. Is don't push the river; it flows by itself.
I saw that on your page.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw that
And
on your
so this
page. Yeah.
goes tribal, and people are talking about manifestation. We will manifest.
Yeah.
We're beginning to, and this is a year to, if you like, punctuate the beginning. If we're too thick to actually see it, it'll be thrown at you.
Well,
But
that yeah,
realization comes from this sense of thrival.
yeah.
So your zoology and my vision of my university community,
That's going to be in the
which
middle of a forest, isn't it? With a bunch of elder trees. But
I,
you made me think of something. You made me think of something. The flow and the materialization or whatever you want to call it uh, is actually gotten to by it's intuitive. There is no intellectual, figuring out stuff and framing stuff up. And that's again going back to that force. I'm glad you brought that up at the beginning of the show because you think about it. It's in those moments of silence we have the most clarity, and really as an energy when we're in that space is when these things occur, and as evidenced by the fact that the conscious human didn't know it was going to happen. It happened as a synchronicity or a validation or an alignment, whatever you want to call it. But the human aspect had no idea. We had no idea we were able to park our RV and broadcast for 50 days. It just came, and it came from that higher love, which brought a call for a higher trust and opportunities to express a higher trust by walking through fears and working
yeah,
and holding yourself responsible and accountable. I mean, yeah, I think the method is one and the same for everybody, and of course it starts in our relationship with ourselves.
yeah, yeah. It's like a lot of people I'm coming across. now. I see it everywhere, who are very, very aware and have done a lot of work,
Mhm.
personal work and so on, still are struggling with the materialization thing. Uh, and it's, I think the conditions at the moment make it even more a challenge because we're on the fast train. Or, there is a fast train, and that's time. It's speeding along. And there's the urgency. As you become clearer, you're closer to wanting to serve and all the rest of it. And yet, trying to survive pulls you back, keeps pulling you back. People uh, want to make decisions. They don't know about their purpose. Everyone has a purpose for sure, but they don't know about their purpose. They're searching frantically for their purpose, or to be belong somewhere. To meet soul family, or to speak to somebody of heavenly ilk. Um, but they don't know what to hold on to. I can't make my decision because we're told you can't plan, you can't look into the future. There's only the now, and there's these as ideas. There's truth in them, but there's ideas, and so
Mhm.
a lot of people are stymied.
Yeah.
You know the word stymie?
Yeah. Yeah. Kind
They're
of,
stymied.
yeah, stuck,
Stuck.
you know. Yeah.
They're stuck, sincerely stuck.
Yeah, of
So,
course. But
and
maybe,
the train is going so fast.
yeah. Yeah.
However, the new this new way of acting, you have a plan, and your plan comes from a dream. So I say dream and dream big and keep dreaming. You have a dream, and many people have had a dream for a long, long time. Bring it into your pretend.
Yeah.
Imagine it. Expand on it. Feel it. But don't
Yeah.
get into the mind intentions. This is what I want, and I've got to have
Yeah.
it, and I've got to visualize it, and I've got to know all the details because you can't plan. It's flow.
That's
If the
right.
universe has already heard you, and as you get into the feel of it, it's bringing that flow closer and closer.
Yeah, it's like I like the thing with the train too because we're all on this train. It's moving faster and faster. We're paralleling its, the acceleration and pace of it, and we're like, we get this after doing all this work. We get to this point, and we're like, okay, I got to do something now. I got to do something. I have this dream. I have this, and then you realize, wait a minute, I'm on the train and the train's totally good and protected and nothing's the train is home, like it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah,
Or you've got to swap change to a faster train, all right?
yeah, yeah,
And you have a plan for today.
yeah.
But I would almost challenge everyone who's listening now. You have a plan at the beginning of the day. Do any of you ever complete that plan? No, you can't. You can't because it changes from moment to moment to moment.
That's true.
So you can't change it. You can't. Uh, but that's not to stop having a plan, or I say a dream.
Yeah.
Keep your dream and know that it's expanding and growing. And every time you follow what's necessary in this moment and in this day that comes up, with love in your heart and the feeling of home, and joke and laugh when you go take the wrong move, when you lose your keys, like I'm always doing, and spending, an hour looking for something that should have been in a place. And there was a time, there were odd times when the elementals deliberately would hide things.
Yeah.
You go to a place and it's not there, and you search and search and search, and an hour later you go and it's there. So there's even other ways of stopping you from having a plan, from being dependent on anything,
Yeah.
uh, such
That's like
that
the
you.
Yeah, that's like the tree growing and creating shade slash shadow. those elementals were actually, helping you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right.
Keeping you on
Every,
track.
everything is. So we have this. Um, you you can plan, but don't bank on
Yeah.
it.
Well,
Never
I
bank.
think I think
Never
you
bank.
you you said it. You say, what's your dream today? And you say, okay, what's my dream? Here's my dream. Here's what my soul desires at this point in this spaceless space and timeless time. And I can take this step and that step and this step today toward that dream. And then you wake up the next day and I like this. You ask yourself
And the
again,
game's
what's my dream?
changed.
Yeah.
It's
What's my dream?
changed.
Yeah.
But don't
Yeah.
let go of your dream. Yeah, keep your dream because the dream has that flavor of something else which is so deep in the soul, and that's the longing to be more, the longing for the connection to source, the longing for the greater love and the greater light that we are. And that is our motivation. It's our motivation. And our dreams come from our longing. And so they're so important. I have a dream when I was 18 and it's come and come and come. And I've even got some elements of the foundation ready, as you have for zoology. But the form and the where and when and how is still not clear,
Yeah.
and it won't be until it is.
What you're making me think. This is why I love talking to you. And I'm wondering, because we know, like, this is a hologram. We know this is these walls aren't here, like you said. They don't have to. The elementals across the street don't have to live in your house because nobody owns anything. There's no space. But what I'm getting at is, you, in this dream you've had since you were 18, or the one I've had for 8 years. I know i know it's constructed in the energy, in the energetics, in the ethereal. I know it's constructed. I know yours is constructed. And so it's almost like the train thing again. You
Yeah,
know, we're on the train. We do all the work with this pretending and imagination, you know, and it's actually created. And we can really kind of just sit back. I'm not saying this is gospel. I'm just saying I'm thinking out loud, but it sounds like we can actually sit back and allow it to happen, basically, you know?
be yourself. As I said with nature, everything is doing its own thing, but it's all connected.
Mm.
So you're doing your thing, playing in your dream, uh, making moves, but it's not a waiting, but there's a timing because we do not do this alone. My
Yeah.
dream is not just my dream. My dream is a dream that involves thousands and thousands of people,
Yeah.
because we're all connected, whether
Yeah.
I see who it's connected to or not. And so living in the flow is that. And so there are so many pieces, if you like, of the jigsaw puzzle that have to come together in divine timing, in flow, and through each individual's free will choice.
Yeah. And I think that's a difference between the codependent frequency that the world was built on, say, before awakening, is when we had dreams then too. I had dreams,
Mm,
and my
yeah.
dreams, if I drilled down and really looked at what they were, at least after a period of time, was about me, was about
Mhm.
providing for me so I could then provide for family or whatever the case is, or get what I want. I think it's pretty easy. People say, well, how am I going to find my mission, and so on. And like you said, if you use that ritual of getting up every day and saying, what is my dream? Because it can change. But the one thing that won't change is a real dream is is like that unique skill or skills or abilities that you have that you want to provide the world, not for attention, but because it's really coming from your heart, and you really want to do it for the collective. That is service to self, service to the collective in one beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, in there. Well, at all ages, but let's take the 60 to 80-year-olds who've been doing it for years, and they've been in their home quietly, uh, being loving and of service, and not self pitying or in misery, have been positive all their life. They have shone. They have no ambition, apparently, no outward ambition. They have shone. Now, that is that is highest of service. That is highest of service. So the purpose is not defined by what we do out there. We come here because, if you like, the clarion call said there's not enough light for humanity to see their way clear. Anyone come and shine their light? And there were from all over the universe. We heard the clarion call. We came to shine our light, and to shine it in the dense in a dense realm, we had to go through it, that realm, to forget and then remember. But our purpose is simply to shine, and shining. I mean, I use the term smile. Is being in your smile,
Mhm.
inner smile, which sees things for what they are, doesn't judge, and just loves, and has compassion and sadness for those who are struggling, but smiles because they see the soul being and their journey is to the light.
Yeah,
And
the
because you're at home with yourself and you're not judging right or wrong. And when I make a mistake, I can be wrong. I can be wrong many times, but wrong is not bad. Wrong is, I see you, Mickey.
yeah,
You went
yeah,
down that little rabbit hole. Fine, fine,
yeah. We
fine,
got.
fine.
I think we need to remind ourselves that too. Like for myself, and I've learned this over 8 years because I shed a lot of stuff, as we all have. But when I made a mistake or make a mistake, I can have that aha moment, and they're coming pretty fast now, right? For all of us. And I'm not the person I was before that aha moment. And you're not the person you were yesterday. And your dream is different today than it was yesterday. And giving that some credence that what others are going through and
Yeah,
have volunteered for and the
yeah,
clarion call that they answered to. We're all
we,
the same. We're all the
yeah.
same. And it goes deeper than that.
And, and because we get a vital part of our humanness from the contrast there is
Yeah.
with other people. And so we can all be contributing to the same dream, but apparently from sometimes diametrically opposed or different points of view. And it's all okay, it's all beautiful because uh, the only requirement, I think, for this thrival coming together is having no hidden agenda
Yeah.
for how you think other people should be.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because
kind
that's an absolute. Just like we're talking about the dream versus a plan. The plan is I'm going to do this so I can get this. That's the
yeah,
old codependent frequency. You need to change so I can be
get what I want.
so I can have my security. The one that came to me was a couple days ago was stability, and I sat with the word for a long time, and then it came to me, and it was like let because it was security, right, and stability. And I thought, well, there's a little difference there. Can I just be stable? Can we just balance this thing out? And they're like, look, give up that old security thing, give up the old stability thing, and you will find stability. You will find more stability than you could ever imagine. And I think that stability is what we're all starting to get pieces of and hang around a little bit longer in. And that is really just getting used to the fact that I'm on the train, it's moving faster and faster, and I'm moving with it because I'm
Mm,
part of the train. I don't have to get human and do anything out of the natural nature and try to force anything because I'm on the train. This is a collective thing, as within without. You know,
Yes,
if it's doing it, I'm doing it. If I'm doing it, it's doing it. And we're all
yes,
it's, every one of us.
yes, yeah. And this connection between us all. I mean, why for 10 years have I wrote twice almost every day? You know, you think, well, you get a bit sick of it and bored with it, but you don't, because this is people, this is life, this is connection, and I do it. Why? Because it brings me joy,
Yeah.
regardless of what other people uh, say or get or don't get. It brings me joy,
Yeah.
and that's what we're here for, to find joy and not even be. I mean, I have difficulty when people say, "Can I have your bio?" You know, if I'm going to do something with them, because the hardest thing is to write about myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't think about what skills I have or anything. They're just part of me. Whatever I do, I don't like or can be bothered with saying, well, why does what I do have the effect I have? It just does. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it,
And
it
why limit yourself to a brief
yeah,
description? You know,
exactly, exactly. You have to,
I think
for
we should just send a picture of our soul signature or something. You know, some kind of artistic imagery that I
yeah,
usually
yeah.
don't send anything.
Right.
Uh,
So how's the time?
uh,
I,
well, we got
I'll,
time. I mean, for you, we got time. You know, we got another show and then an hour. I like to take about a half an hour break. Uh, I was gonna say something to you. I can't remember. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
oh no, I was going to sing. You said about a song. I had a song that came up,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'll wait till we finish.
Okay. Yeah.
The-
So it's not a coincidence. It's Valentine's Day over here. I know it's the 15th over there. I saw Glenn Ray was on, so I want to wish her a happy Valentine's Day. And I saw Morgan was on earlier, but I don't know if she's still on. But I want to wish her a happy Valentine's Day. And
yeah, yeah,
everybody else out there, every day is Valentine's Day. Every
yeah.
single day. One of the things I wanted to ask you about, Nikki, is since the first of the year, and even really since the first of the month, and I know I sound like a broken record because we've had this conversation, but and like you said, the train's moving faster. A lot of people dealing, with stuff as we have been in the past few months for the last 2 or 3 years, and doing the work. But on a collective level, I know sometimes you get that type of intel. How do you see things? Where do you see things are at? Some people are talking about a very imminent disclosure, or at least something coming that we've been getting prepared for, so we can hold the light up, and that's becoming very, very close to us. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, I don't, as you know, I don't really go on much on events or astrology or anything. Not that I don't see it is great value, but for me personally, it just at the moment it's like the karma or the pressure of the ages is upon us all, and it's increasing
Mm,
and accelerating, which means the contrast is is greater between what's apparently happening to stop and what is available and possible to evolve, and that is still not reached a point where it's a crossover.
yeah,
And I think that this is the key is the awakening of people. The key is, if you like, enough light,
yeah,
enough light, enough people taking on and beginning to live this um, life of we're talking about of thrival.
yeah. Walk the
Yeah.
talk.
And for it to manifest, yeah, walk the talk. Once it's manifest in people's lives in a large enough way, then the masses will see. And when they see, they can make the choice easier.
Yeah.
And
Agree.
that
Yeah.
is the sign. That is the sign that the whole thing's going to change. Because the other thing is collapsing. We know it's
Yeah.
collapsing,
Yeah,
and
I
it's
agree. I think you're right.
oh,
I think it'll be so pronounced that the general population, whatever you want to call it, will not be able to deny it. It'd be one thing if you have, like, say, an AMA in one part of the world and maybe three or four other ones, but to have hundreds of thousands of millions, and this type of illumination is contagious. So you put 1 million people on the earth, and they shine to that level, they're going to affect and influence,
yeah,
and others are going to become aware. And you're right, they'll have the game continues at a deeper level. They have a choice. We all have a choice.
yeah. Yeah, and I think that this connectedness nature is 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 kind of vital, knowing that the principles of nature are the principles of our life too,
Yeah.
and we are so connected that you need a species doesn't change and it's never changed on the basis of one individual. One individual might start the trend by a species developing an abnormality, which becomes functional, uh, it becomes functional to its future success. We're the same. That we have to be able to share and be together in our purpose as individuals that
Yeah.
like we're talking about. That is the key to big change. It's us coming together as a species. I'll call the species beautiful human.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm with you on that.
But
I'm with you on that. I'm
yeah,
with you
yeah.
on that.
And so those who have always felt the beautiful human, they've been bringing that vibration with them.
Yeah.
And this is not the way it should be, because there's something much better, and have seen in the lowest of the low human uh, the seed of their beauty, and have cried for them, and even felt it through our own lives. Uh, it's about that human beauty, and human beauty comes from a connection. I mean, go back to the beginning, the fairies and the elementals have mentioned to me constantly that they've waited for the humans to come because they've been bereft of the Christ light, and it was special. It was something that humans brought.
Yeah.
They have had light, and they had their connection, but there was something special.
Yeah. We got
So
we extracted ourselves, or we were extracted or something. But you're right about that. I
yeah,
went. We went to a beach 3 weeks ago, and I told Morgan. I said, I can hear an animal trying to talk to me. And I looked in the sky, and there was nothing on the island. So I looked in the sky, didn't see anything. Anyway, a couple of minutes later, these two dolphins came within 20 feet of us, coming in diagonally to the shore, out of the water, turned under, popped out of the water right in front of us. And then, anyway, they went to their pod, and they were off maybe 50 yards away. And I could start feeling this energy in my hand, and I knew they were communicating. I knew they were downloading, and I did what I could. But one of the things I got out of it was a two-way street, and it always is a two-way street, as within without. They were giving me something. They were very happy, very gleeful, but they were also showing me that they were benefiting from. It's exactly what you said, benefiting from our light. They were happy to be receiving that, and happy to, it was an equilibrium, an infinity sign of giving and receiving. Yeah.
and I talk to people about the company of heaven, their company of heaven, and if you like, give them some remembering so that they increase the presence of their relationship.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing there, that they are waiting. We have we make the free will choice, and as we share, just from a human level, ups and downs and too with them, we bring them into our life
Yeah.
that they get a chance to help. They've been waiting a long, long time. And you and I know that one of the greatest things that I get that brings me so much joy is to share something with somebody and see the light in their eyes.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, they're like,
you've been doing it a long, long time. You've been doing
well,
it a long, long time. And
so have they. I've been
yeah,
standing.
absolutely. Yeah, well, you're basically one of them. you're,
Yeah.
you're
Oh,
you're actually, well, you're multiple, but I mean,
so
um,
include them in your life. We're in
yeah,
the trench, but then, if I am offering my auric field for the presence of their light, blending with them, I bring that, their chance to also bring this change about
yeah,
through me, through physicality, because I'm the one in the physical body
yeah.
that is becoming a body of light.
That's
Wow.
right. That's right. And that's the last leg of it. People have been picking up that intel that the body's now the one that has to come into alignment with the rest of the bodies.
Yeah.
And that means that it gets even more dense because you're dealing with what we thought was just a physical body, which it's not. This is our last point of separation where we actually convert this thing. And wow, we
Yeah.
are.
I wrote a post a couple of days ago about carbon, the new carbon atom,
Mm, mm,
if anybody's interested. But there's the science of what's happening to us physically,
yeah,
and it's beautiful,
yeah,
but it hurts
yeah.
because we asked for acceleration, we asked to be on the forefront, so we got to take a few growing pains.
Well, we know that whatever we give to the universe and whatever we take for the team is going to be given back to us a thousandfold. So we're all good.
Yeah, yeah.
Why don't you close us out with that song? And
Okay, well,
let's. Do you need any background music?
well, no, I think I can manage it. It's so great talking to you. Uh, yeah, I can see us um, when we physically come together,
Yeah,
chatting away for ages, and I feel so close to you and Morgan and everyone on Soulology.
it's
I love
coming.
you
Love
so
you.
much. Mm. Okay, so this song I want to finish with the pretend and child nature that we are, not the childlike, or the child within, but the child I am, the innocence of being. This is the beauty of humans, is the innocence of being.
Hmm.
And so pretend, imagine, fantasy. Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're young at heart. Or because it's hard, you'll find to be narrow in mind when you're young at heart. You can go to extremes with impossible dreams. You can laugh when your dreams fall apart at the seams, and life gets more exciting each and every day. And love is either in your heart or on the way. Don't you know that it's worth every treasure on earth to be young at heart? For as rich as you are, it's much better by far to be young at heart. And if you should survive to 105, look at all you'll derive out of being alive. Here is the best part. You have a head start if you are among the very young at heart. Thrive, everyone. Thrive.
Wow, that's a mic drop. Thank you, Mickey. Nikki, see you later. Peace out,
God,
man.
God
Best to
bless
you
you.
and Glen Ray. And
Yeah,
we'll
and
we'll We'll do
You
it again
guys,
soon. Do it again soon.
okay.